it is Jo from Minerva, and today I'm here with my third hack video of the Victoria blouse. So far I have had a look at the neckline, I've changed the length of the sleeves, and I'm wearing the long sleeve version here now, which I'll show you in a moment. And today I'm going to be looking into some ways that you can change this pattern into a dress. This is a long sleeved pattern hack that I did in a previous video. So I've added an elasticated cuff and it's joined on here at a drop shoulder point. I've used a viscose challis, so the fabric is really nice and floaty. It's the perfect fabric for doing a long sleeved hack. Because the pattern has this pleated front, it also makes for a great pattern to hack into a dress, because you've got lots of ease already built within the pattern for the hips and waist. You can do this in lots of different ways. You can let your imagination run wild. I'm going to show you a few simple ways today just to get you started. The Victoria blouse has a 3/4 length sleeve with a cuff band on it and this V-neck front with a pleat here to make the shape. It's really easy to do. It's got a facing, a neck binding, and it's got a grown on sleeve, so you don't have to set a sleeve in. And I'm going to show you some different ways that you can change the style into a dress. Now you can just put a belt on it, a normal ready to wear belt, a leather belt or a plastic belt. You can make a tie, so you can make your own tie out of fabric and add belt loops at the side. You can make that really skinny, you can make that really big so that you get a bit of a bow going on the side or something a little bit drapey. You can make a casing so that you can thread your tie through the casing. You can put the casing on the inside, you can put the casing on the outside, you can have the opening for the casing at the front so that your bow is at the front, or you could put it on the side so you get your tie draping down one of your hips. So let's have a look at how we can achieve some of these things. You can lengthen the pattern down to your knee. In that case, I don't think you'd need to add any splits or anything for walking ease. I think there's quite a bit in the pleated shape at the front to allow you enough hip room, but you may need to. It depends how long you're going to make it. I'm going to try and make mine a little bit longer, so I want my dress to go down so that I can wear it with boots and tights in the winter. So I'm looking for a much longer length, in which case I'm going to add a couple of side splits so that I get a little bit of floatiness from the viscose around the hemline, and I've got plenty of ease for walking. The fabric I'm going to use today is again a viscose challis because I'm adding long sleeves. The fabric print is called Zentangle Jungle. I'm thinking winter dress here or autumn dress with the longer sleeves and the longer length. So I've picked something a little bit dark and moody. This one has a black background and quite a large print, and I think if you're going to hack this Victoria blouse into a dress, you can afford to choose one of our larger prints because you're not going to be cutting into the fabric anywhere. You've got all of this here which isn't cut into. You won't be having a waistline, it will just blend from the top to the bottom, so you can really splash out on one of our larger prints, maybe the Monstera one, the Toucan one. All of those have you know, a really large print. I've chosen 2.5 meters to try and make this dress, but obviously you're going to have to work that out a little bit. If you've made the Victoria blouse before, you'll be able to estimate a little bit more how much of the fabric you're using depending on which size you cut. I'm cutting size G, so I'm hoping that I can get the grown on sleeve, the full length of my dress, and then the same again. You cut each piece on the fold, so you'll need at least your shoulder to your finished length twice. Hopefully that'll give you a bit of guidance on how much fabric you'll need to hack it into a dress. Right, let's go and take a look at the pattern pieces and we can cut out our fabric. It's tricky for me to get all of this pattern piece in camera shot, but I have cut the top out and around the neck the same. The fabric is on the fold. I have just extended the arm. I can make the arms a little bit longer. I've just taken that underarm curve and made it a little bit wider so that that can be turned back without running out of circumference to turn the hem. And I've continued adding length. So from the folded edge here, I have then continued cutting. I took a measurement from my back neck to where I wanted my hem to finish, and that was 1 m 10. I'm really short, so you might need to add more. So I measured 1.5 centimeters in from the back neck, because that's where the binding will finish. 110 to the end, and then I've added some hem allowance so that I can turn up the hem. I'm going to put a side split in here. I haven't marked that yet. I might make the dress up so far, try it on, and then see where my knee hits. I've done the same to the front piece. And as with any pattern hacking, you need to check that all your pieces line back up again. So I'm looking for this notch here, which still matches here. I've got an underarm notch, and all 4 of my underarm notches fit, and my sleeves are all the same length. Essentially, I'm ready to start making a dress. The video will speed through some of the parts of making the Victoria blouse, because I want to show you the bits that specifically turn it into a dress. But if you want to see the process of putting the blouse together because you've not seen it before, then you can check out Diane's video here on how to sew the Victoria blouse from start to finish. It's filmed as a sew along, so you can find out all the processes and all the details to put it together. It's especially useful if you're new to sewing or you're new to the Victoria blouse. Today I will slow down on the parts that help you to turn the Victoria blouse into a dress. Once you've got to this stage where all of your neck part is complete, your pleat, your facing, you've turned and joined the front and the back, just make a little clip in the seam allowance there so that you can release that seam allowance from underneath the facing. Press that flat, because now I'm going to add the hemband to the bottom here, but I am not going to fold it in half and use it as a hemband. I'm going to use it in a different way. I'm going to attach this hemband to this seam. There's a little centre mark there which I'm going to line up with that shoulder seam, but first of all I'm going to hem the end, because I'd like to keep all of that length, and then I'm going to shear this piece. I can't do it when the top is folded and sewn on the underarm seam, because then I can't deal with the ends of the shearing. I need the ends of the shearing to be in the seam allowance. So this is the order in which I'm going to do it. I'm going to hem the end of the sleeve, attach it to the main body, and then shear, and then I can fold it in half and sew the underarm seam. You need this lower hem to be quite narrow, because you don't want it thick, otherwise it won't gather up and give you that fluted edge which you want this fabric to do after it's been sheared. Next, attach it to the main body. And now we are ready to shear this piece. I'm not going to show you in detail how to shear today. You can check shearing out in my video here. It's a bit of an older video from a while back, but it shows you how to thread up the bobbin and where to put your shearing elastic. You're going to put as many rows as you want in there. If you put them closer, you'll end up with a stronger cuff. You can put a few in and you'll get like a sort of bubbly ruched area. You can do a few up here and have lots of frill. You can do lots and have a deep cuff. You could just do a few near the hem if you just want it to nip in at your bracelet length here. So shear to your heart's content as much as you want until you get the desired effect. Okay, so when you've done your desired sleeve finish, I've gone for this shearing one today. Now I can sew the ends together. All these are tied off so that they don't come undone, and they will now be in the seam allowance. I'm going to make sure when I sew that lower cuff that I take my stitch length right down to 2 so that I really grip the ends of the shearing. Matching the underarm notch, I'm going to pin the side seam and sew. I'm going to use a nice wide seam allowance towards the hem. I'm going to keep the seam allowance correct under the arm because I want there to be enough space here for arm movement. But as I get lower down, I'm going to just widen it out a little bit so I've got a little bit of fabric to play with if I want to put side splits. It's at this point now where you can try your dress on for length. So I've got my splits going up to about just the top of my knee, but you could put those wherever you want to. I've just put a normal ready to wear belt on because this is indicating for me where my waistline is, and if I wore it for a little bit and just made sure that it actually landed on my natural waist, I could mark here with a chalk so that I could use a different waistband finishing if I wanted to. I really like this sleeve finish with the shearing, so that's something you can add to your hack list. That's the hemband used for shearing. You could also lengthen that totally to wrist length, but I'm just going for a bracelet length, so it's a work dress. You can also work out for your waistband how much you would like to blouse over. The pleat works really well here because it keeps plenty of space on the sides to move your arms with the longer sleeves. So I'm going to mark this waistline. I can either put some belt loops here, or I'm going to try and add a casing. I'm going to make the tie now. I'm going to make mine quite small because I'm putting it inside a casing, but you can make it a lot wider and put 2 little belt loops on the side. If you want to know how to do the little loops that go on the side of a dress, the little string loops, you can check that out here. Or you could just sew some little tabs on the side, little pieces of fabric folded back on themselves to make the 2 belt loops that stop the tie from getting lost or from slipping further up or down your waist. I'm quite short in the waist, so I don't normally make much of a band that goes around my middle because it takes too much of my body length away. So that's why I'm trying the casing method today, where I put the tie through a casing. If you think you might want to make your own belt, so instead of using a ready-to-wear belt, you'd like to make a tie to go around the middle, then you can cut a piece of fabric which is 14 centimeters wide, and when you fold it in half and take a seam allowance, your belt will be about 5 or 6 centimeters wide. You can make this really wide and have a really nice sort of big sash around the middle, or you could make it a lot slimmer and you could make it just like a little tie that fits around your dress. I've joined two pieces to get my length that I want. And when I make a self-tie belt, I don't like to have the place where I turn either at the ends or on the join. So I will always sew up the ends, and I will always leave a space just to the left or the right of the back. And it's really tempting when you're whizzing along in a straight line to not leave a turning space. So I put in 2 pins, because when I'm under my machine it makes me stop. Then I can leave that gap, turn it out, and I'll have a self-drafted belt. Once you've sewn it up, I absolutely love using Prim turning tools. It's a tube, and you put the tube into your tie or strap, and then you use the stick to slide the material through the tube. It's so easy. Then you can use the end of the stick, whichever, the pointy end or the straight end, whichever one you think won't push a hole through your fabric. Work out the corners and press your strap. Right, so we've made a self-tie. So you don't have to use a ready-to-wear belt, of course. You can add your own tie, which adds that little extra detail. Really nice in a viscose challis, because it just gives a really nice drape. I'm going to make the casing piece now. I'm going to put the dress on over the top of my head, and I'm going to mark where I want my casing to be. I could have done this at the flat pattern stage, but sometimes with the drape of the fabric I want to make sure that I'm definitely getting the waist casing on my waist. If you want a more permanent way to bring in the waist of your dress so that you still have a tie but you have a casing as well, then you need to look for where your waist landed when you tried the dress on with a normal belt. Just keep the pleat unpleated out of the way so you've got flat fabric. My green pin marks where I would like the top of my waistband casing to be, and I'm going to mark across here in a straight line. You can mark a straight line on the back, depending on if you've got a larger seat. If you've got a larger seat, then you might want to just move the waistband casing up or down. Mine's fine. I'm going to now use that line to pin through both layers of the fabric so that I can mark on the reverse. And if I don't want my chalk line to rub off, I could put a tacking line through there so that I can have a really good guide for my casing. I'm going to make a casing now that is 4 centimeters wide, and then I'll have 1 centimeter to turn under and another centimeter to turn under. I will need a casing that is 124 centimeters long with some space each end to turn under. So let's go over to the cutting table and check out the casing. From my fabric, I've cut a piece that is 6 centimeters wide, 128 centimeters in length. I've got a little bit each end to play with, and I'm going to press down 1 centimeter each side, and that will make a casing, and I'll be sewing in that line when I attach it to the dress. So first of all, let's press it, and we're now going to pin this and tack it to the edge of our dress. So we want it along that chalk line that we made. We can turn the ends in as well so that we don't have any frayed ends when we pull our belt tight, and make a bow. It's going to be super tricky for you to see what I'm doing with this pattern fabric, but I am putting that casing along the chalk line, pinning it in place. I'm going to tack it, then I'm going to sew it down. It's attached. Let me show you a closer look at how it fits together at the end. Here is the side seam. I've got my chalk line running along here, and then when both ends meet, the opening for where my bow will be is about 15 centimeters from the side seam. So here's the side seam, 15 centimeters into the front is the end of one end of the casing, and coming all the way around from the other end is the other end of the casing. So I'll be able to have this space to tie my bow. Here's the opening. So I'm going to be going in through here, taking my strap all the way through. Now, I could make a smaller strap. This is the self strap that I made a moment ago, and it's probably a little bit too thick really, but I'm out of fabric now, so I'm just going to take this through, see what it looks like, and we'll try it on, and you can see if you'd like to try a casing. It might be easier if we try it on, so let's take a look. Oh yes, likey. So now you can tie your strap, even that one that I've made before is fine, and you can distribute the tie through the casing. And it really keeps the dress looking really smooth. So rather than wearing a ready to wear belt, you can have a continuation of the pattern. This dress hack is great for any of our really large prints. So this one is Zentangle Jungle. As I said before, Two Can Play is another good one, and Monstrous Street. So that is with a casing. You can put the casing on the outside, or if you want to, you can put the casing on the inside. You can put the casing on the inside and use elastic if you want, but with challis, I really like that little hip detail. Wearing the dress is a marvellous thing because you work a few things out. So I've got the ties about even, and I really like that. But when I wash it, I don't want them to work their way out of the channel. So I'm just going to put a little stitch in the side seam to hold that strap in place. Well, there's one way to turn the Victoria blouse into a dress. You could add elastic around the waist, you could do lots of different things. I'm just trying to give you a little flavour of how you could take the pattern to your own style and your own comfort fit. We would love to see if you have hacked this pattern in any way. It's really interesting. It's great when people get fresh eyes on a pattern, the things that they can come up with. It's really inspirational to both us and our Minerva makers. If you've made something, we would love to see it over on our website. So do make a free account with us, share your makes, take some photos, give a little description, and we would love to see you there. You can also join our craft club where you will receive discounts and offers throughout the year. We would love to see you back here too, so do come back for more sew-alongs, pattern hacking videos, learn to sew videos. There's some great chit-chat ones where people take you through new pattern releases and fabric prints. Thank you very much for watching. We'll see you again soon.